ministers, excellencies, distinguished guests, thank you for joining us this morning. I am Kurt Allen, CEO of Agilix Labs, and I want to start today with a question. What if I told you that the difference between two futures, one in which your country leads the region in AI adoption and one in where you follow, is just $460? This morning, you will hear three voices who will explain how this can be so.
7 years ago in Sierra Leone, before most of the world had heard of artificial intelligence, well, for those of us in that part of the world, our president, His Excellency retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada Bio, launched our National Innovation and Digital Strategy. And during the launch, he had this to say, and I'll read. We had been excluded in the first and second industrial revolutions by factors of history. For the third industrial revolution, we had been consumers and mere spectators. The fourth industrial revolution is here. And I believe that by enhancing the capability and capacity of our population through comprehensive human capital development, we can achieve real economic growth and real development as a nation. So this was what he said 7 years ago. And since the time of his announcement and the launch of the National Innovation and Digital Strategy, we all know that AI has taken over. And as a government, for our people, we felt compelled to act. So as we've heard, the first three revolutions, a similar pattern played out. Some nations organized around it and rose. Other nations were delayed and fell behind, and that created a path dependency. The continent as a whole, Africa, was absent from these revolutions not because of any failure of the African capability, but we were excluded by factors beyond our control, factors like colonization, structural conditions we did not choose, and by an order that did not include us as participants. Now we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution. And for most nations, we feel that we have to leapfrog, because even with the first, second, and third, we're playing catch up. And this time it must be different. While AI may be the most disruptive revolution, the cost for benefiting from AI can be quite low. The barriers for entry for reaping the benefits of AI is also quite low. But we can easily and cheaply leverage vast investments made in other countries immediately. But that is only possible if our people have the right skills, and these skills would be used for the benefit of the continent and also would be context specific. So this is a timeline of what we have done since the National Innovation and Digital Strategy was launched in 2019 by His Excellency. A few years after that, in 2023-2024, at the start of the second term of His Excellency, he launched an ambitious national development plan, which we have framed around the Big Five game changers. The first being agriculture, feed Salone. Salone is a local way of saying Sierra Leone, feed Salone. The second is human capital development, and as a country, we've always prioritized human capital development. The third is youth employment scheme, where we have committed as a government to providing 500,000 jobs for our young people over a 5-year period. Being mindful that we cannot achieve that on our own, we need the industry partners, we need our private sector, and we also need to empower our young people to be job creators as opposed to job seekers. The fourth is technology and infrastructure. We live in a digital era. We do not want to be left behind. And the fifth is revamping the public sector reform. And what we're talking about today is of relevance to Pillar 2, human capital development, youth employment, and technology and infrastructure, but also creates an enabler for development across the board. In 2024, the National Digital Learning Strategy was also launched, which is starting to get student experience with digital learning in secondary schools. And with that being said, Last year, at this very conference, EWF at Lancaster House, the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education signed a memorandum of understanding with Agilix, a group in the United States, to establish the world's first Future Learning Institute. So this is a transformative education and technical assistance center designed to modernize education systems and prepare students for the future of work. It is characterized by AI-powered learning, workforce alignment, skill-centered education, but ultimately it should be localized. It should be informed by the context that you're working in. And it should be hosted by a higher education institution in Sierra Leone. So this was us last year, myself and my dear friend Kurt at Lancaster House, which I believe also has some great significant history to Sierra Leone. So it was quite symbolic where we signed the MOU. And ever since then, we've been working tirelessly to ensure that the MOU is a living document. It's not just a photo opportunity, it's a living document. And that's what we've been doing over the last 12 months. And this is the roadmap that we have developed to ensure that everything that we have signed in the MOU would be fully operationalized and the partnership formed within Agilix Lab and the Ministry of Technical and Higher Education would be sustained. So as I've said before, the Future Learning Institute is our hub for launching our AI certificate program in partnership with a university in Sierra Leone, Kono University of Science and Technology. Some of you have heard or are familiar with the history of Sierra Leone, and you know that we are often associated with diamonds. So Kono district is the district where we have diamonds. But if you go to Kono district, for years we've been ripping from the district, so that was a disservice. So His Excellency the President has tasked us to ensure that there is a higher education learning institution in Kono, and that is how the Kono University of Science and Technology has come about. It is also in the remote part of Sierra Leone. Often when we work with partners, we concentrate in urban areas, but we want to ensure that we do not do that in this case. So Kono is in the eastern part of Sierra Leone. It is remote, and this is us trying to work to ensure that there's equity. We're not just focusing in urban areas. We're going where the need is often greatest, which is in the rural parts. Next, we opened the first community learning center at the heart of Kono district in Koidu city, where learners can come and engage with AI and other digital tools. My dear friend, Mr. Mustapha Turay, who has been leading that effort in country, will provide a more detailed picture of what obtains within the community learning centers. And this would be a pilot. And once it's up and running, we've already secured funding for up to 10 more community centers across the continent. But we want to ensure that there's an outfit of this nature where young people can come in and acquire these 21st century skills to allow them to compete with their peers on the global scale. So this will be anchored either within a public higher education institution or a private higher education institution, because we want to also encourage intra-level collaboration. We cannot afford to work in silos, public institutions working in one regard and public and private working in another. So Mr. Turay will tell you more about this. But the idea is that with this funding that we have secured is that every district that we currently have a government technical institute will have an outfit of a platform of this nature, and we can work in the future to ensure that the other districts which do not have an institution of this nature, we can make that to ensure that there's regional district equity in terms of access. Once we've set up the Community Learning Center, the next thing, we're in the process of finishing the accreditation program for the AI certificate program that I mentioned earlier. And that would allow us to launch the AI certificate program. This will be delivered within the Community Learning Center, and Kono district will be the pilot district. Before I hand over to Mustapha, I want to make a few points about this program. The essence of this is to tap into the economic dividend of having a very youthful population. Sierra Leone, 65% of of the population classified as youths, and we want to tap into that. So the most important, the key points about this program is one, it is designed for young people. young men, young women. So everything we do through the gender equality, social justice and inclusivity lens, ensuring that no one is left behind, even students with special abilities. Anyone who has a secondary education should be able to complete the program. The second factor that is integral to this program is that it is ethical, attempting to be culturally appropriate, accessible, and transparent. And it also aligns with the policy that we have, the ethical use of AI in education, which we have introduced to demystify AI and get our young people accustomed to using these tools as a tool, but maintaining the human agency. And last, but certainly not the least, it is community anchored. And the program in that regard is quite different from other AI programs in one key area. It teaches our young people to identify challenges within their communities and connect their entire communities to the power of AI by coming up with innovative solutions to address these problems powered by AI. So it will act as a bridge between this new technology and their community's long-lasting culture and structure, but ultimately solving problems at community level. Mr. Mustapha Turay, as I mentioned, he is leading our efforts to run the first pilot community learning center. And after that, you will hear from Dr. Mark, the architect of the program, and he has helped launch online and hybrid colleges and programs at scale across the globe.
Thank you, Madam Minister. I am so excited and I feel honored to be here today to really express gratitude of thousands of voices living in deprived communities in Sierra Leone. And this is all happened because of a dream. My name is Mustapha Turay. I was born in one of the most deprived communities in Sierra Leone. The irony is, as Madam Minister said, we have produced one of the most largest diamonds in the world, but we are the most deprived communities in the world today. And at a point in time in my life, 5 years of my life, the first 5 years of my life, I have to choose between a shoe and school fees. So I decided to choose school fees, and I walked barefoot for the first 5 years of my school. Fortunately for me, I had the opportunity to get higher education in the United States. But while flying to the United States, I vowed that whatsoever education I have in the United States, I will come back home to give back. I had my bachelor's degree from the Brigham Young University in Utah, and proceeded to have my master's degree at the Southern New Hampshire University, and also did some other courses. But it came to a point in time that I have to make a sacrifice, because I had my wife and 4 kids in the United States with me, and the younger one was so tender, he was just about 6 years old. But I was now left between keeping the luxuries of the United States or really following my dream. I decided to follow my dream, and I met with God and said, I'm asking you for 2 things. 1, can you look over my families to keep my dream? And 2, will you mentor me as I go back? And he did not only accept, but he was willing to support. So I came back to Sierra Leone, and we are fortunate enough, after testing the program, because of my vow, I really decided to test the program in one of the most remote areas of Sierra Leone, where there's absolutely no light, no power, and no access to internet. But how do we do that? The Agilix platform has the capability of using offline facilities, so you just need to be online for 5-10 minutes, and you can download whatever stuff you have and go back to the village and utilize it, read, study, and everything. So after testing it in one of the most deprived communities in Sierra Leone, our aim was, if it can work in one of the most deprived parts of the world, then it can work everywhere. And after graduating hundreds of students, we now partner with the Cornell University of Science and Technology to see how we can scale up this program. And it was during the time, just beginning of this year, we launched the Community Learning Resource Center, the first. The Community Learning Resource Center, you can see, was an old building that was burned down during the war, and we had to fight to renovate that building, and we did all kind of things. We were mixing concrete and used a wooden crane to build the structure, and it finally came through. But the most important thing now here is the students that are even participating in that. Our first set of graduates, hundreds of graduates that we have participated in this program, 70% of them were women and girls. Those some are single mothers, some are victims of the war, who had lost hope for education, were able to come into this Future Learning Institute to get hope again, to get their hope rekindled. So now they have chosen, some have chosen to be going to medicine and things like that. We position our students face to face, because even we had 11 years of war in Sierra Leone, we believed that it ended up on the table. So we position our students face to face to see themselves as they are not competitors, but they are collaborators. The Future Learning Institute is our platform that is the first pilot program in Sierra Leone, and houses the Community Learning Resource Center, which caters for both students that want to go to college and those that were completely deprived, and is housed in Trico College.
My name is Mark Luetzelschwab. Easy, isn't it? And I'm heading up the international AI programs here at Agilix Labs. As Madam Minister noticed this morning, I have been doing AI for a very long time. Let's talk about what we're talking about today. How many here have used artificial intelligence? Claude, ChatGPT, anything like this? Most of us have tried it. Using AI just for prompting, asking a few questions, getting a few answers, it's like riding a bicycle. It's fun. You enjoy it, you get some benefit out of it. But what if you could not just ride a bicycle, but you could fly a plane? In my experience, most people are in this level of prompting where they're just asking questions, getting a response. And only a very small percent actually achieve true productivity with artificial intelligence. In a recent study of Western office professionals, these are folks that have 24/7 access to AI. They've been trained how to use AI. Only 5% of those professionals are actually being productive. They're actually saving time. And when they save time, it's a significant amount of time. It's almost 40% of what they do. And if you end up realizing how to do this, it's an amazing feeling, because you end up having a superpower of AI. So I encourage you to learn and become one of the folks that can fly a plane. And that's what we're talking about today, is that in this fourth industrial revolution, it's not too late. There is an opportunity not to follow what everybody else is doing, but to lead. And so the program that we're working on and delivering in Sierra Leone is very unique. It takes AI and it helps create a whole new role in the community. So artificial intelligence is like the smartest person you ever know. And they can actually help you inspire yourself to do new things and give you new ideas and improve on what you do. But AI has never walked a mile in your shoes. It doesn't know your culture. It doesn't know what you need. It doesn't understand the existing communities that we find in Africa, and this is actually true across the world, where there are established roles. There's a chief, there's a healer, there's a teacher, there's a trader. There's a huge gap between what AI understands, largely trained on Western data, and what the communities in Africa need. And so the program that we're launching is what we call a finder. It's a new role in the community, And that job for that youth that becomes a finder is to translate the power of AI for the benefit of the community. And they do this by going through a one-year program about applied artificial intelligence skills, and we teach them how to fly that plane. So we're not creating folks that just have AI literacy, they're becoming experts in AI. They're becoming some of the 5%, some of the most talented AI skilled people in the world. And on top of that, once they have these skills and they create this new role inside the community, they can earn money. Just like if you hire somebody to help you build the building that Mustapha showed just a few minutes ago, you earn money for providing that service. This is a new service that people will pay for. And even though the young adults come out, they're creating new opportunities. They're not trying to wait for some corporation to hire them. They're creating their new opportunities of becoming entrepreneurs. And there's a benefit not just to the individual, but also to the community, because everybody can do their job better and be inspired to do something else. Why just pick the beans when you can create chocolate? So I'll talk a little bit about the program and how it works. It's a one-year program, has 8 courses, starts off with the basics. What is AI? Get your hands dirty with it. Then you start learning these habits, what we call the 4 habits of effective AI use. And then you spend the next 4 courses going through a cycle. And this is a very, very different program in this regard. 1/3 of your work is on your mobile device, whether you have a tablet or a cell phone. As Mustapha mentioned, you come to the Learning Center, you sync up your device, and you can go learn the basic concepts on your own, disconnected from the internet. 1/3, however, is spent with your community. That you have to go sit with folks in your community, understand what they're trying to accomplish, understand their lives, learn how to interview, learn how to listen. And take that, what you learn from that community, and now you go into the lab, into the community learning center, and then you learn how to use AI to help solve those problems. So you're not learning this for yourself, you're learning it for the community. And in this way, it's an extremely unique program that's very different than anything you can get online from Coursera or from Google and things like this. We teach you the basic skills. We're teaching you how to use AI for the benefit of the community. The universities they're working with provide the accreditation and make sure the students get an actual certificate. So not only do they have that knowledge, but they also have a certificate that they can bring into the market. And even if the young adult becomes a finder, gets all these skills, they create that new role, that's great, but they can also go forward and be a better teacher. They can be a better healer. They can be a better trader with these skills under their hood. And the entire program is, as Kurt mentioned at the beginning, only $460. And that's the total cost, including access to the technology, access to the artificial intelligence, to the online learning programs, the tuition, and the certificate itself. We invite you to visit us. Come out to Kono and see what they've done. For the funders in the audience, there's a real opportunity here to transform your investment into true community value, is an opportunity to transform lives using artificial intelligence. So thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. We have a few minutes to take questions. Really appreciate the time you spent. Please contact us, please reach out. We're happy to help. We're inspired by Mustapha, we're inspired by Madam Minister and the work that they're doing in Sierra Leone, and we hope that we can reach the entire continent with this program.